Satnam. We are Jen and Ramtin from Heart Center Revolution.
Our intention with this podcast is to share the best of Kundalini Yoga and conscious living with you so you can live a more heart-centered life. Satnam, and welcome to episode 36 of the Heart Centered Revolution podcast. In this podcast, Ramtin talks all about how with Kundalini Yoga, we really connect with our body, mind, and spirit, but also with this subtle aspect of ourselves and with the universe. And through this connection, we can do some pretty amazing things. And then at the end of the episode, I'll lead you through a pranayam that is healing, energizing, and uplifting. Before we jump into Ramtin's class, I want to give a little bit of a preface or context that Ramtin will talk about some, pretty spiritual things about how we connect to source or infinite intelligence. And I just want to clarify that Ramtin uses the words that make sense to him. That's how he conceptualizes, the subtle realms of the world and the things that we can't explain and kind of his spiritual connection. But what he talks about is relevant even if you have a different belief system. So you can replace the words he uses with whatever words are comfortable for you. You could use God or source intelligence, universal energy. And then if you're completely atheist or agnostic, you can think of virtues almost like the universal spirit or unconditional love. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that after his class, but as you're listening, I just want to make sure that you know that we're not attached to the specific words that you call things. It's more about internalizing kind of the concepts, and then you can apply your belief system over that concept. And then in this class, Ramtin started out with a discussion with his students that I've edited out for their own confidentiality. But just so you have the context, they were talking about how we as human beings, like when we are irritated or something triggers us in someone else or annoys us about someone else, that's actually a reflection of something we're either annoyed with about ourselves or that we're not accepting about ourselves. So if I'm annoyed, well, this is the truth. I get annoyed when I'm in group activities and people aren't considerate, or I interpret someone's behavior as them not being considerate of the other people in the group, specifically being inconsiderate of their time. And so that really gets under my skin. That really annoys me. And so that tells me that I should look inside myself and at the very least accept that I am capable of doing that to other people. Because the reason I get so annoyed when other people do it is because I am living under this false belief that I don't do that. Because I do, for the most part, try to be conscientious of other people's time. But of course, there are moments when I don't. And by not accepting that as a part of who I am and accepting that I have the possibility to engage in that behavior means that when someone else does it, I'm very annoyed. And this also underlies a poor assumption that somehow that other person is different than me, that we're not the same or connected or kind of come from the same universal source. And so it also is a source of disconnection of the truth that we are all one. So they were talking about this concept, and kind of the catchphrases that are really helpful are like, if you spot it, you got it. So like if you're annoyed about something in someone else or it triggers you, then turning that mirror in on yourself and thinking, why does this bother me so much? Like, what's in the shadows of my own self-awareness that I'm not embracing about myself? Because if you embrace it about yourself, it won't bother you as much if you see it in other people. All right, so let's jump into his class, and then at the end, I will put some pieces together and then lead you through a short pranayam.
Yeah, so as above, so below, as below, so above. And as within, so without, as without, so within. Same as you mentioned. So in a microcosm of our life, we could apply that as you mentioned, is our observation of what's going on within us based on our perception. And our perception is comprised of what's within the subconscious mind, how our background, our belief system that exists, and what we bring into this realm, physical realm, vibrationally and energetically. Our consciousness, that's huge, that we apply now to our outer world. What we exude, what we put out there through our verbal communication and non-verbal communication. That's in the microcosm of our life. And we could have the same relationship as we have with our surrounding, with things that we do, goals that we have, in our career, in our relationship with any relationship that we have. Same relationship, same application of how we perceive and how we handle what we put out there, how we give and receive with the cosmos, with the spirit world. It works exactly the same. When we want to accomplish something or fulfill a task or have a project at hand, be it personal or business, we always have certain go-to personnel that we attend to or go to. For example, if you want to, let's say, if you have your car, you need tires for the car. So if you need new tires, you look in the yellow pages maybe, or online, not yellow pages anymore, we don't do that anymore, on Google, or ask a friend, right? You ask a friend, where do you buy your tires, for example? Or, a dealership that you go to that you trust, If you need to tint your windows now, right? You do the same thing. You go to Google, that's what we do majority of the time now. We look it on that World Wide Web, right? Where we narrow it down to where we want to go to around our local area. World Wide Web, where we narrow it down. Or you're going to ask a friend, someone you trust. It's about that vehicle, but different parts, different areas of the car that you need to fix, or you go to different people. You have certain, again, personnel for you, if you want to call that, to help you with that. Cosmically, you could do the same thing. You could create the guides, the support system, and the support personnel for you to bring you what you need. And as you go deeper into the study of understanding spirituality, how you become, that's why we do meditations every day. That's why we have this practice every day, the Kundalini Yoga practice. And it's not the only one, but that's why we have this, to become more aware of our subtle aspects of who we are and getting connection with them and create a relationship with them. We create a relationship with our body, we create a relationship with our mind, and we create a relationship with the consciousness that exists beyond our physical body and beyond our own mind, connecting to the a universal consciousness. And through that consciousness, we could create any entity, any deity, any kind of support, any ascended masters, any angels, anything you want to create to have access to do the things for you, and you be sort of the CEO, the president, the boss, owning that authority within you, that power, creating a certain relationship now with that word. The association you have now is different, because as higher conscious people, as we have certain connotation that we have in relationship with some words, like, wealth even, prosperity, power, authority. As you do that now, you redefine these words for yourself, and you redefine your relationship with this, and also with that higher power. And as you gain that true perspective of what that is, you create a new association relationship, now you own that within, without any other subconscious limitations that we have gathered through the conditional life from our childhood maybe, or even past lives. And as you exercise it, that's why it's a practice. Exercise it on a daily basis. Now you set the foundation as you do that, and then you keep building on it. But each time you practice, each breath, each sadnam, each time you have an interaction with anyone you have a relationship with, first and foremost with yourself, and then with everybody else, you keep building on that consciousness. And that's all this is all about. That's the only thing you carry with you from journey to journey, from lifetime to lifetime, is your consciousness. And that's what you're doing with all of this. With having this physical body, that's why it's a privilege. Because having this physical body helps you in various dimensions, because we are a multidimensional being. What makes us different and what makes us unique is the heart that we have. It's the heart center, the heart brain and the heart center that gives us that vulnerability, also the power to feel that compassion, to have emotions in combination with the other organs and your brain, and creating that mind that holds that emotion for you. As you're able to work to connect with that, and again, befriend it, then you're able to utilize it. And that true creative manifestors that we become becomes through the heart center. Everything else is a tool. Everything else, the mind, becomes just a creative kind of facility for you. The functionality of your organs, every organ, including the brain, now works. You become the operator. Instead of having the thought that is you're being controlled by your subconscious, your emotions, others, or even the cosmos, you gain control by creating that relationship. It's not that you're not an individual, a part, I am this powerful person. Well, you are. You are because you are connected to the higher consciousness. You are in relationship. You are part of it, not apart from it. You truly become a channel.
For your own being.
Yes. And then the questions will come up for you. What about this? As a higher conscious person, you'll question your own ability and your own connection and your own consciousness, which as a higher conscious person, you will do that. Allow the answers to come to you. Some are through the subconscious tendencies and habitual ways. Some actually come through you. You will be able to differentiate and also work with it. Allow the answers to unfold for you. Questioning that if this is right, am I being righteous still? Am I being a good person? Am I being, am I still on the right path even though I desire this, or I want to do this, or I have this, or the answers will come to you. What is good? What is bad? Is there such thing as good or bad? What is right? What is wrong? More importantly, what is right for me and what's wrong for me. So in essence, you're opening your heart, connecting to your heart center. The free will that you have resides in your heart center. That's what is making you the unique being that you are. So you truly are at the front line of creation to feel for God, for source energy. You are a conscious being. Conscious in the way of you have 5 senses and more. You have it. In the spiritual realm, there is no feeling. The emotions that you have are unique to you. So what you feel is sort of transported to the higher consciousness. As you create that relationship, understand it and believe in it and work and own it, you truly transform your life into a magical life. Beyond the limitations that we feel. And that's part of the journey. And even the limitations become joyful. You know? It's not a limitation. It's just, okay, it's part of the game now. It's not too serious anymore. Because you're not bounded by them. You're not imprisoned by it anymore. You don't feel that lack or limit. You give yourself that permission to enjoy the earthly life as you keep the awareness of the connection to your higher self. That relation. And you create it. You name it. You name your guides X, Y, and Z. And you continue to talk to them just like I was in front of you and you were talking to me. And you ask them for anything that you want. And believe that anything is possible. So you accept, you take action on it, and that increases your belief. And that's what believing is. When you believe in something, you take action. You do. And when you do, that belief gets stronger. It works hand in hand.
Oh my gosh, what a great conversation and great topic. There's a couple things I want to expand on or just discuss. And so one is that this idea or this function of Kundalini Yoga, where it tunes our mind and body to such a way that we are both more aware of the subtle vibrations of ourselves, of like the energetic vibrations around our body, and it opens us up to receive messages, intuition, whatever you want to call it, but to receive guidance from a place that's not our mind and not our brain. And so because Kundalini Yoga connects us more deeply to these subtle aspects of ourself and of the universe, sometimes it gets confused with a religion. But I would just want to be careful or be clear that Kundalini Yoga is a spiritual practice, again, meaning that it kind of tunes you to have a higher vibration, to be more sensitive to the subtle things that are going on in our world and in our lives. And that means we're more receptive to our connection to God or the infinite or whatever you want to call it. But that doesn't make it a religion. A religion requires that you believe something, and Kundalini Yoga does not require that you believe anything. It is literally just a set of tools for you to experiment with and kind of pick and choose what works best for you at any given point in your life. The other thing I wanted to elaborate on a little bit, just because it's fun, and like spiritual work can oftentimes not be fun. But this concept of like being your own CEO of your own little like spiritual, board members, if you want to say it that way, or continue the business analogy. It's actually used a lot in business. It would be called a mastermind, where, you get together with people who you respect and value. And the idea being like the collective consciousness or the collective grouping allows for like divine information and inspiration to flow through, and kind of, putting 3 or 4 in a business mastermind, it would be 3 or 4 like human minds together, kind of gives you access to wisdom and intuition that you wouldn't have on your own. But then I love this idea that through our practice of Kundalini Yoga and becoming more sensitive and aware and connected, we can kind of create a spiritual mastermind, and we can create our own spiritual support system. It can be whatever entities resonate with you. And if you're not religious, you can stick with human beings that you know, or call on virtues like love and compassion and abundance, and kind of call these things to the table with you and commune with them, with these vibrational entities, about what you want for your life and what you want to overcome. And then listen and see if you get feedback, or pay attention over the next few days and weeks and see if you get signs. So for me, like, I don't subscribe to a particular religion, and the word God, I'm still not quite resonate with. I think because I grew up in a very Christian community, the term God to me is very strictly applied to the Christian interpretation. And my experience of spirituality is kind of like an infinite intelligence type of experience. However, I feel a deep connection to Mother Mary and to just this vibration of love and support. And I feel like I've felt her presence in my life. And if I like close my eyes and envision her and call on her, like I can almost feel like she's coming to me and helping me heal or helping me move through my life. And so that's a relationship that I really value. And I am a skeptic. So sometimes I think that there's really this entity of Mother Mary outside myself that's here with me. And sometimes I think it's just a projection of that part of myself that is the things or the traits that I'm ascribing to Mother Mary. But ultimately, it doesn't matter. The outcome is the same. Like, I get a healing experience, and we'll get messages or guidance or intuition. And to me, ultimately, like, the truth of the source of that isn't as important as the impact that it has on my life. But one of the things that I love most about Kundalini Yoga is that it is open to all belief systems. And like I said in the beginning, it's more about a set of tools that open you up to these realms. And then depending on your history, your culture, you know, what information you have access to, the words you put to these experiences or the entities you connect with will change, but the process is the same for everybody. And that's actually whether you do Kundalini Yoga or not. There are plenty of practices that connect you with the spiritual realms or the more subtle realms that have, you know, nothing to do with Kundalini Yoga. In fact, the shamans, there's a specific type of shamanic journey where you listen to drums and you're kind of get yourself into that meditative trance. And then you envision yourself going up to what's called a higher world, and you create like a beautiful environment for yourself. So I have a friend who does it, and she envisions she's like in the middle of a pearl. And then you sit in this higher realm and you call your spirit guides to yourself. And so different spirit guides will show up. And in the shamanic practices, it could be like an animal spirit guide, or they could be ascended masters. Or I imagine you could also have, like I said, like values as your spirit guides, like love or compassion or forgiveness. And then you sit in this higher realm and you commune with these entities. And so it's kind of very similar to what Ramtin is suggesting. It's just a more formal practice from a different lineage. And now I'm all inspired. I want to for the next 30 days as I fall asleep at night, like call on my little spiritual mastermind and see what healing and direction and inspiration they have for me. All right, so now we're going to transition into our pranayam. And so the pranayam for today is a segmented breath, meaning we're going to break the inhale into distinct segments, kind of like sniffs, but not quite as aggressive as sniff sounds. And then the exhale, we're not going to segment in this breath. And so there's a bunch of different ways you can combine segmented breathing. Like a common one is to do like 4 segments on the inhale and 4 on the exhale. or to do 8 segments on the inhale and 8 on the exhale. And each ratio has a different impact. And so you don't want to make this up. You want to follow kind of a prescribed formula. So the one we're going to do today is inhaling in 4 sniffs and then exhaling once. So let's practice before we get into our meditative posture. So we'll inhale in 4 and then exhale in 1. Now, both the inhale and exhale are through the nose. And on the sniffs, try not to be tense or to make them too aggressive. You want to be relaxed. It's kind of like a gentle, and then a complete exhale. And now this pattern brings in healing, it brings in a boost of energy, and it's uplifting. Okay, let's give it a try. So bring yourself into your meditative posture. Heart is up tall, shoulders up, back and down. Spine is elongated. The crown of your head is pulled up towards the heavens. Your chin is very gently tucked down and back so that you feel that opening in the back of the neck. You can relax your hands on your knees, palms up if you're wanting to connect with the above, palms down if you want to feel more grounded. Eyes are closed. And let's just take a few long, deep breaths to start our meditation off. So inhale deeply, bringing the inhale into the belly. Once the belly is full, expand the ribs. Once the ribs are full, breathe into the upper shoulders. Exhaling, the shoulders come down, ribs come in, navel back to spine. Eyes are closed, inhaling belly, ribs, and chest. Exhaling, chest, ribs, and belly. Do one more like that. Inhaling and exhaling completely. And then on your next inhale, break it into 4 segments. And then exhale completely through the nose. The sniffs are very gentle. Exhale is complete. All 4 sniffs come together to create a complete inhale. Exhale. Keep going. If you want something for your mind to focus on the inhales, you can mentally chant Wa, He, Gu, Ru. And on the exhale, Sat, Nam. Wa, He, Gu, Ru, Sat, Nam. And you continue with that, chanting at the pace of your breath. Just 2 more cycles. Keeping your eyes closed, inhale deeply through your nose. Suspend the breath gently, sitting up nice and tall. You can squeeze your body gently, directing all the energy up the central channel of the body, out the crown of the head. Eyes are focused at the third eye. Exhale. Let's do that one more time. It feels real good. Inhale deeply. Squeeze your body gently. Squeeze your root lock if you know that practice. Feeling the energy move up the center of your body, out the crown of your head, eyes at the third eye. Exhale. Relax your body, relax your breath. Keep the eyes closed. And just observe. Check in with your mental, emotional, and spiritual state. And notice any shifts that occurred because of that pranayam practice. And then when you're ready, blink open your eyes. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. We just want to say thank you to all of our listeners and supporters out there. We love doing this podcast. And we've, been pretty inconsistent over the past 3 years. We have 35, or this is the 36th episode, but we just crossed 50,000 downloads this month. I don't know why the earlier milestones didn't hit me, but 50,000 is crazy. And we're so grateful to all of you who have reached out to us and let us know how much you appreciate the podcast. And, we hear from people that they listen multiple times to the episodes. And we're just really honored to be a part of your spiritual journey and your spiritual path. So if you have any questions that you'd like us to answer on the podcast or any suggestions of topics that might be helpful, please feel free to email me at jen@heartcenteredrevolution.com. And Ramtin and I are experimenting, for the next month or so. We're going to be posting videos pretty regularly on Instagram. They're kind of like mini podcast episodes, I guess. Like this week, the week I'm recording this, it's Mother's Day is this Sunday. So we're going to share some videos on the best lessons we've learned from our moms. And we're going to do one kind of with a reminder about why we tune in and the function of Om Namo Gurudev Namo, and then have a guided tune in. So they're 3 to 10 minutes long, not as in depth as the podcast, but they might be fun little supplements in between episodes. So we're on Instagram. It's at Heart Centered Revolution. And a lot of the videos will also be posted to Facebook. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So if you don't have Instagram, but you do have Facebook, you can follow us there. And we're Heart Centered Revolution on Facebook as well. We look forward to connecting with you over there. Thank you so much for listening and supporting our podcast. We love you. Sat Nam.